views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
Get ready to enjoy the fullest version of yourself because SourceLight Radio, high-frequency healing for an amazing life with Laura Barton starts now. Learn about a unique spectrum of energy called SourceLight integration and how to elevate your vibrational aspect. Follow along as host Laura Barton explores reconnecting into the universal grid and bringing about physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual balance. SourceLight Radio, high-frequency healing for an amazing life.
Hey, everybody. Yep, you heard this right. This is SourceLight Radio. I'm Dr. Pat. I get to hang out with Laura Barton. Why? Because we are getting ready to send to you the high frequency of healing for an amazing life. Laura, great show today, boy.
I'm really looking forward to it, Pat. It's great to talk with you again.
Well, let's just recap for a little bit. And I want folks to know about you. First of all, you know, what they're going to hear today in the show is they're going to hear from somebody that absolutely talks to the experience of what today's episode's about. Wisdom and oneness, healing the collective. And in the body of work that you do, you know, you just don't work with people on an individual basis. You literally have taken your abilities, the work that you do, to expand the vibration and the vibrational field. But beyond that, there are the effects of others. And that's what today's show is about. There could be a collective energy that could come from people that previously exist or live in a home, or a collective of people that are currently in your space that you may or may not know about. And so let's talk a little bit about what your work has developed into and how these energies affect our lives.
Great. Well, Pat, it's really been an evolvement. You know, quite frankly, I started working with individuals in 2012, excuse me, with this type of work anyway. And I found that the more work I did, the more expansive it became and inclusive. So people started referring their family and their friends, and I ended up working with groups of people and clearing energies in spaces, properties. Oh my gosh, the collective itself.
Yeah.
And that's so huge. I mean, literally, we are all linked. It's scientifically proven over and over and over. And given that, when I'm working with someone and we're clearing their energy, we're also clearing energy in their immediate circle. Not just the ripple effect of how they move throughout the day, but you know, interactions they've had on their timeline, past, present, and even future. Epigenetics is a huge course of study, healing our ancestral lines. And people have talked about, after working with me, their awareness has been that they cleared something that happened long ago that got passed down to them through their DNA, for example. Yeah. So it just keeps going and going and going. And I'm totally blessed to be able to bring this forward. And I'm so appreciative of your help in doing that, Pat.
Well, this is really part of a conversation that we're going to not just have today, but on an ongoing basis. And it is so needed in the world we live in. And so one of the things that we're going to hear from Ingrid is what her real experience was with you. And she'll be joining us here in a few minutes. But most importantly, The thing that I am learning, and I think we're all learning, is we are influenced by energies, whether they're energies of people we know, of people we don't know, of people that are alive today, or people that are not alive today. The point is, we know and can feel when something is off, but we don't know, generally speaking, what that is and what to do about it. And that's where you come in, right?
Absolutely. It is my joy to help people release energies that no longer serve them. And by bringing in the light, that's exactly what happens every time. It may be a different effect than what a person initially desires, but regardless of that, it still continues to serve. The more light you bring in, the more shifting occurs, the more light you're personally able to hold moving forward.
All right, let's take a short break. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Let's take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into what these energies look like. What do they look like? What do they feel like? How can they show up in your life? How do you know if there's something holding you back? That and much more. We'll be right back.
Do you know how powerful your thoughts and beliefs are in determining your experience of your life? Is it really true that simply by changing some of the words you use in your day-to-day language, that you can change your life? I'm Megan Edge. Join me on Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host Dr. Pat on Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to seeing you there.
To find out more about Megan Edge, visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Hi, I'm Steve Kramer of Spirit Fire Radio, and I believe that meditation changes everything. It leads us in the direction of greater well-being, and that's a fact. I struggled with meditation for years. I understood the principles, but I found it hard to incorporate them into my everyday life. Spirit Fire's meditation practice changed that. It's called the Practice of Living Awareness, and it's taught in 14 steps. These are 14 tools that I can use in any moment, on and off the cushion. Steps like smile, flow, and ground of being support my clarity of mind while I'm navigating the ups and downs of modern life. That's why it's called the Practice of Living Awareness. If you'd like to add meditation to your daily experience, the Practice of Living Awareness is free, online, and it's suited for any level of practitioner. Visit spiritfire.com for more information. And be sure to check out Spirit Fire's meditation retreats in Western Massachusetts. It's all there at spiritfire.com.
Tune in to People Like Us Radio with Megan Lyons, transcending the trauma of the human experience. Megan will be raising the universal consciousness by empowering listeners with their own inner strength, working past trauma and abuse. Megan will show you how to find true healing and inner peace through the art and practice of self-love. Tune in every first and third Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. For more information about Megan and her work, visit enterthelightllc.com.
What is a brilliant culture, and how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you align your culture with your business strategy for exceptional results. Looking for a culture that drives organizational excellence? Listen to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the second and fourth Friday of each month at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. To learn more or work with Claudette, visit culturalbrilliance.com.
Would you like your next chapter to be free from fear and angst? Tune in to Your Next Chapter Radio, navigating through life's transitions with Shelley Ryan the fourth Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Shelley's contagious enthusiasm guides you through life's transitions deliberately, mindfully, and funnily. For Your Next Chapter coaching or to listen, visit YourNextChapterCoaching.com or call 602-617-8351. Next.
Oh, wow. Well, this is a great show, everybody. I mean, it's the kind of thing when I think about it, and I think about the work that Laura Barton does, and I think about what SourceLight means. This particular show today completely highlights it. Because in the end, when you say yes to your greater purpose in life, especially to help other people be absolutely amazing in the world, you come across so many different things. That's why today's show, Laura, is so important. The idea of wisdom and oneness and healing the collective. It's not something we talk about that often, is it?
No, it really isn't. And it's important when we run across special people in our walk that are into the exploration of the vastness of it all, and yet the simplicity of how it's all connected to help bring their information forward as well.
So tell me a little bit about, how you describe / define the collective, because I want folks to understand that we're talking about, energies that they may be aware of, they may not be aware of, could be global or otherwise, right?
Yes, exactly. To me, the collective is simply that. It is the collective essence, the collective energy of each and every one of us, regardless of where that energy presented itself on the timeline. Okay? It could be a past energy. It could absolutely be something in our present. It could maybe even be something in the future that we're maybe a little bit sensitive. Something's coming, but we're not quite sure what it is. So it's all of that combined.
Wow.
The masters over time talk about oneness, and they talk about the wisdom of the ancients moving into the present to help support us. They talk about, future events that we have a sense of, but don't have tangible knowledge of. That's the energy that we're talking about when we use the phrase collective, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. In the world we live in today, we are certainly surrounded and bombarded by energies, frequencies from everywhere. There are people that I know that spend their living, breathing day turning on the news and watching the news and plugging into that and wondering why they're depressed, right? So, we're really, even if you're going to do that, you too are going to need some help with clearing the energy away, because things do weigh us down, and they could be from this life or they could be from past lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Laura, what do you find in your body of work as the most challenging for you in what you do?
Each challenge is a different aspect of experience, right? So I don't view that there is one challenge greater or lesser than another. It's just a different aspect of challenge and change. When I'm working in an area or with a person that has a part of their body that is really blocked up, or as I mentioned, an area like in a building or on a piece of ground where there's been something uncomfortable that's happened, or a lot of releases, energetic releases, I get really hot, physically hot, to the point where I will sweat because I am bringing in so much light. There's heat associated with that as it passes through me to clear the stagnated energy in the being or in the group or in the building or in the ground.
Wow.
So as far as a challenge, when I'm working with a group of people and I really start to sweat, I'm thankful for waterproof mascara. Because it can get intense. It can get intense.
Well, listen.
Even with, go ahead.
Not only can it get intense, but we actually have somebody joining us right now who is going to give us up close and personal about how intense it gets. Ingrid is here to join us.
Yes,
right.
I'd like to introduce Ingrid Falk. This is one of my favorite people. She has studied spiritual teachings in order to understand the bigger universal questions of life, like why am I here? What is our life purpose? Where did we come from? What happens when we leave? She's a metaphysical explorer. She's experienced many great teachers and healers and views herself as a cosmic connector and activator. Welcome, Ingrid.
Hey, Ingrid, welcome.
Well,
it's great
Ingrid.
to have you. Yeah. Look at that little harmony we had there, Laura.
Join us today, Ingrid, sharing about how we've known each other and the different types of things we've done together, where you've helped my work move forward, and how that's affected people.
Yes, okay. Well, I'm really excited and kind of amazed to be on a spiritual radio show with Dr. Pat and you, Laura. Thank you both for inviting me. Well,
you bet.
I just want to say what I think right about Laura is I really regard her as an extraordinary gifted healer. She's a mentor and a role model, and she really does courageously live her life with passion and purpose in the way she shares her SourceLight integration energy work with others. And to be candid, I have to tell you guys, I am a metaphysical information junkie. My mind wants to know it all, the who, the what, the where, the why of the quantum field, and how I can become a more conscious creator of my own life. And that's why I go to these events, and that's how I met Laura. So I met Laura through Creative Health Network, and that's a group that's been meeting for over 30 years in Palo Alto. It was co-founded by Virginia Essene. She's a very well-known channeler back in the 60s and a mystic researcher. And she created this group where people could come together to explore how to live consciously, how to heal themselves, how to live in well-being, and to advance their spirituality. So Suzanne invited Laura to be a speaker a few years ago, and I went to the monthly meeting, and she told a really interesting story about how she had her own miracle healing when she went to a reconnection lecture, and she volunteered to go on the stage. And she'd been suffering from a frozen shoulder for several years, and within a few minutes of just energetic work, I don't even think she was touched, her frozen shoulder was unfrozen, and she had mobility that she had not had for years. And I think, like you said, Laura, that was kind of your breakthrough moment where your whole paradigm shifted.
It was a big part of that. You know, I had gone to Arizona to experience this, and the shifting that it brought forward was just huge. And I took off like a shock rocket after that.
Yeah, your life is not the same. And so, you shared the story, and then you did some demos on people just to see what it looked like and what it felt like. And I was really impressed when I saw you, Laura. I really appreciated your authenticity and your real devotion to this healing art and the work that you're doing. I know it is your life mission here. And so I went ahead and signed up for some of the healing sessions while you were in town. And on my third one, I typically don't really feel energy from healers, when they're putting their hands on me. I might feel something very minor, but I consider it insignificant. But Laura, on that third session, when you said, okay, now you're ready for more advanced healing, the SourceLight energy healing, you put your hands on my solar plexus, and I'm telling you, I felt like the 220 voltage was turned on, because I said, oh my God, I felt that whole cocoon of energy go around my body. I said, this is going to be an interesting session. And he's been giving me different feedbacks on issues, but the primary one that you've helped me heal was an emotional issue. And that had to do with my codependent relationships. Now, I'm a number 2 on the Enneagram, which is the helper and the giver. And we always feel we have to earn our love, our acceptance by being compulsive, neurotic people pleasers. And I've done that a lot of my life. And every number on the Enneagram has the gift and it has the shadow side. And you really talked to me very seriously about looking at some of my relationships. And I've had 2 really long-term female friendships that I had for years. And, relationships do become habituated, and you fall in patterns just like marriages do. And you really asked me to look at it and to be aware of my pattern and what I was bringing to it. Well, strange as it would be, the universe actually helped in this because I guess I was ready since you did some of the energy work on, I guess, my emotional body. And these 2 women actually were very frustrated by me, and they felt very betrayed by me. And they ended up kind of dumping me, or say terminating the friendship. But it dissolved and it disengaged in a way that it had some ease and grace to it and some synchronicity to it. And I just stepped back, and I realized that we couldn't meet each other's needs or expectations anymore. And we were probably all better off being apart, because a lot of what life is, the big chapters of our lives, is how we say hellos and when needed, how we say our goodbyes. And Laura, I know the work we did and how you continue to help me review this particular pattern I had just has created now an opportunity for me to have other people come into my lives. And what I've learned with friendships is nobody's really your best friend anymore. You've got to be your best friend, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So I want.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead, my dear.
Well, and the neat thing about watching all this shifting that the 3 of you did is it opened up for each and every one of you to heal in areas that, from my observation, there wasn't a lot of awareness that was even needed. But as you progress through the changes, it just became more and more and bigger, and all of you have advanced your lives in ways that were unimaginable several years ago.
Right. Yes, I do believe it did benefit all of us, and it was just the time. Mm-hmm. It was just the time.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my life principles that I like to do is I like to pay it forward. And when the universe shares so many good things to me and for me, I love to share it and promote it, especially the spiritual and healing arts and the metaphysical teachings. So I have referred many friends and family members to Laura when she visits. But one of the most important experiences I had was my beloved, beautiful sister-in-law named Ileana. And she suffered for many years from a very aggressive form of psoriasis. And that's this autoimmune disease that's in your skin. And you may have seen people with it. They kind of have these red patches. They call them plaques on their skin. And it's, autoimmune. And she also happens to have it in her joints. And she's on these heavy-duty biologic shots, which have helped quite a bit. But she was also taking some antibiotics, and she was in Florida. And she was with her family in the sun, and she got a very extreme, serious case of sun poisoning. And when she came back, oh my God, it was so sorry. It was so sad to see her looking like a second-degree burn victim. And she was in excruciating pain. And you were there, Laura, and I asked if I could bring my sister-in-law to get a treatment from you. And this is one of the first times she's had what I would call a memorable out-of-body experience. You know, she relaxed on your table. You don't touch people when you do your session, but she just conked out. But there was some point where she had awareness, and she was seeing herself lying down on the table, and she was seeing me do work. And what was really her greatest area of suffering happened to be her knee joints. And she actually saw what she described as lightning bolts going into her knees. But she didn't know, was it going in her knees or was it going out of her knees? But that was such a strange observation she had. But the miracle of Ileana's story was the next day, she was virtually pain-free.
Wow.
It was huge. You know, she described it to me as though there was no pain, and the skin that was so dramatically affected by this flare-up started sloughing off. She could feel it lifting from the inside out, and it was peeling off in layers. She described it almost like snake skin. and she'd never experienced that before. And it's just been huge. It was huge at the time, and it's been huge since to see that level of transition happen with someone in just one session. It was amazing.
Yeah. And we all felt so helpless. We didn't know how to help Ileana, but sometimes that's when the universe provides these healers and these other modalities. And it's a wonderful thing to see. And it was such a wonderful experience to witness my sister-in-law really have that dramatic turnaround. Now, I've also seen Laura involved in group work. She has spoken several times at our metaphysical East-West bookstore in Mountain View, where she's now evolving your work into group healing, because not everybody can do, the individual sessions. And I know you were getting some really good feedback on these group responses at East-West. And so I attend this very eclectic church called Companions on the Journey in Palo Alto. And we have this really super cool renegade cosmic ex-priest named Sean. And on the fourth Sunday, they look for guest speakers. So I asked, Laura, if she'd like to be a guest speaker and maybe do a group healing at this church group. And she said, sure. They don't pay you or anything. It's all voluntary. And so she came, and what month did you do it? Was it in February or was this year?
It was actually April. It was April 8th of this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's about a 25-minute thing where you go up and give your talk or whatever you're going to do up there. And so she did a very interesting talk on this oneness and this wisdom. It's an important spiritual concept, but she really wanted to share her work. So she said to everybody, you don't have to do anything. For the next 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and transmit my energy, this integrated light source, universal energy and light, to you. So just be receptive to it. And some people will have some interesting experiences. Some people won't feel anything. Some people might feel something later. You never know what to expect with a group of 40 people. Well, she did it, and I was sitting in the back, and, I felt, something must be going on, but I don't, again, really perceive energy. But I went up after you did your healing, and I went to hug you and say, hey, you did a great job. And I was amazed that, Laura, you were drenched in sweat. I mean, your shirt was so wet, but your hands were ice cold. And I just said, she said, God, feel my hands. And I said, what? Why are they so ice cold? And she goes, I was wave of this energy that's coming through me. And it just used her body like a transformer or something. And she goes, well, Ingrid, I just didn't send the energy to the people. I did it to the space and the building. And it was, I've never felt that tangible physicality of an energy worker.
It was huge. I mean, I got up to do the talk and I started to sweat because I was energetically preparing to do the work, right? And I could just feel it. And I don't get nervous speaking in front of groups. I've done a lot of public speaking. I really enjoy it. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on because I hadn't really started doing anything yet, per se. And then when I started allowing my being to be used as a conduit for SourceLight, I literally, sweat was running down my cheeks, dripping from my hands. And yeah, my hands were ice cold. And I just did the work, and I was thinking about it afterwards going, oh my gosh, what was that all about? And I realized that when we go into a building or an area to celebrate life together, a lot of times that involves letting go of some of the crud we walked in there with. I mean, that's why we go. People go to a group, a gathering, a church, a temple, or whatever, not just to be in worship and oneness, but also to release what's bothering them. I heard it referred to one time that church is a hospital for sinners. And I always thought that was pretty interesting, And what happens is a lot of people don't realize that energy gets stuck in there. So I wasn't just working with the energies of the people that were before me. I was working with the energies of the people that have been using that location every Saturday for decades and clearing that as well. That's why there was such a profound effect.
Right. And I did hear a few people feel like they really did receive some healing energy afterwards, just some of the little feedback. I didn't really ask everybody, but so that was very impressive. So, those are really my three kinds of examples of how I know Laura, your work, Laura, the personal and my sisters and some of the other people that you've worked with, and then with the group healing work that you're evolving now.
Thank you, Ingrid. And that's totally true. We've developed quite a relationship over the last several years, and the ripple effect has been phenomenal. I'm truly blessed.
I feel the same.
Wow.
And I did one little other side note.
Yeah.
Laura did take me up to Mount Shasta, which is a very magical place.
Yeah, it is.
Talk about interdimensional reality. Now, Laura knows how to kind of stretch time. She can really work with the quantum field. She can contract it, expand it, play with it. She's the only one I know that can drive for hours on a road trip and listen to gong music and harps and all this strange didgeridoos and drums. I say, you listen to this music when you drive? She says, oh, yeah. And sometimes she'll be working with her energy, she'll be driving like 85 miles an hour, just speeding right along. But when we went to Mount Shasta, there were so many amazing blessings and miracles and synchronicities. We went to the crystal room, and we had an incredible crystal bowl ceremony with Beverly up there in the crystal room, which is like an Atlantean Academy. I saw my first sun dog. She coached me to go up to Bunny Flats and to stomp around the snow a little bit. And when I fell down, she was able to pull me back up. But we just had a blast. And she allowed me to be with a very special teacher that I'm sort of, doing some of my transition work with, because she's getting older and has more physical pain and mental pain. So I wanted to also thank you for that great act of friendship. And you made that trip so fun. Oh, and we went to all the crystal things. It was just a blast.
Wow. Let me ask this one question. Because you shared, first of all, Ingrid, thank you so much for everything you've shared. So often we hear about the phenomenal work like someone like Laura does, but then to actually hear the depth and the breadth of what you've just experienced, and not only that, but, getting an insider's perspective on what it's like to experience this with Laura. I think this is a super, super special gift. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for doing that right out of the gate. I want to ask you this one question. How has your life changed as a result of that?
The big one is looking at my emotional neediness with relationships, feeling I have to be so loyal. I have to be the responsible one. And when something shifted in that emotional body with these friends that I had for almost 30 years, kind of like a marriage. And then when something just happened, I think the universe helped as well, because I was open to looking at it. But now my life is different, because I'm not repeating those same patterns with those same people, which wasn't really fulfilling for each of us, because we could not meet each other's needs or expectations anymore, because we changed and our circumstances had changed. So because I had an opening for new things, new people, new experiences to come in, that has really accelerated my life path. And I just have more time to do other things than I might have done had I been in that habitual pattern of always feeling like I got to do this, I got to be there, I have to acknowledge this. It just gave me a freedom to rewrite my script around friendships.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. It's awesome. It really is, because sometimes those life events, not only are they traumatizing, but, they're extremely difficult to shift. by going down the pathway that most of us go down. Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you so much. Laura, thank you. We're going to take a really short break. And when we come back, Laura's going to give us a recap. Again, thank you to both of you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Ingrid.
All right, we'll be right back.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Living Lighter Radio with Jason and Patricia. We have an ecosystem approach to your life. Tune in weekly every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we, Jason and Patricia, discuss what's truly holding you back. We offer you the tools you need to reach your goals and at the same time be living lighter. For more information about Living Lighter, visit www.livinglighter.org.
To find answers to life's questions, you need to look within yourself. Dr. Glenna Rice brings your questionable conversations on Transformation Talk Radio each month. Tune in each month for insight into how you can live up to your full potential. Dr. Glenna is a physical therapist, certified Access Consciousness, and Access Body Class facilitator. How does it get any better than this? For more information on Dr. Glenna Rice and her work, visit glennarice.com.
Love Living Radio Ignite Your Whole Being with Emily Perkins is a show for those looking to explore the sparkling magnificence of their inner selves. Tune in every second and fourth Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific as Emily sheds a radiant light of love on the beauty and power that resides within you. Discussing love in all its forms through conversations that provoke awareness, curiosity, and expansion, Emily shares the unlimited power of love. For more information or to listen to this show, visit lovelivingholistics.com.
Dream on, fly high, and live adventurously on The Laura Meeks Show. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio. As host, Laura Meeks guides you in finding your unique gifts and bringing them to life. As a certified life coach, speaker, and veteran bomber pilot for the U.S. Air Force, Laura knows how to follow a dream. She is ready to support you so you can dream on, fly high, and live adventurously. For more information on Laura and her work, visit flyhighliving.com.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Hey, everybody. Wow. I hope you all have taken that all in. Laura Barton's joining me here today. Laura, before we talk about the many, many layers of what Ingrid shared, how can people find out more about you? But more importantly, what's the best way for people to work with you?
Well, you can always go to my website, SourceLightIntegrations.com. I'm delighted to answer questions and offer free consultations. There's a scheduler where you can reach out to me like that. You can send me an email at laura@sourcelightintegrations.com. You can find me on Facebook. I have a SourceLight Integrations group. So I try to be as accessible as possible. And although I do a lot of travel, I always do my best to return calls within a 24-hour window.
Awesome.
The best way for people to work with me really is to call me so that we can explore what's going on and see how we can work together as effectively as possible. Everyone is different. Every moment of a person's life is different than the next. And so there may be needs that you don't even realize you have until we start talking about them and uncovering them. That's why that 15-minute consultation is so important. And frankly, it's hard to stop at 15 minutes when someone's sharing what's going on with their life and we're trying to figure out what's the best way we can make a fit here, make a switch, make a change, clear a block, so that person can be functioning more optimally. It often goes well beyond that, and I'm always happy to be of service.
Yeah, part of what we heard Ingrid talk about is multiple layers of things. At least that's what I was struck by. And I think it would be good for us to take a moment here to sort of reflect on that and hear from your perspective the unfolding of her healing journey and what you were most struck by in her story.
Well, Ingrid is such a beautiful and educated soul. I wasn't really sure what I would be able to help her with, just that she was looking for assistance. I just refer to it as a guest in need of assistance, right? And so often when I'm working with someone in a private session, I'll get messages. I don't ask.
Yeah.
I am just given information for this being's highest good. I didn't know anything about the personal relationships that Ingrid was struggling with. I didn't know any of that. But when we started working together, there was just this information that was downloaded for me to share with her. And it kept unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And it's like that with everyone. Sometimes when I'm held over a part of the body where there's some stagnant energy or stuck energy, if you will, I will ask, well, what can I tell my client afterwards that is in her highest good? What message does she need or he need to hear at this moment to move through this as effectively as possible? What organ is this? What bones are these? Because I'm certainly not a diagnostician, nor am I a medical professional, although I have been. I just kind of go with it. And as I share after the actual work has occurred, the person will often have aha moments. Like if I'm held over someone's knees, and I see energy releasing from that area of the body, I'll say, hey, did you ever have I was really held over the knees. Anything happen there? And they'll describe a skiing accident 20 years before, those sorts of things. So it's so diverse. There's really no label for it other than SourceLight integration.
Yeah. And that is actually the nature of what you do and the work that you do. I mean, this is clearly for people that are thinking about this. This is not just about removing things, but, opening up the door for possibilities has so much to do with moving energy around, has so much to do with it. And, we just don't know the clutter that we accumulate over time, over lifetimes.
Absolutely. It's a co-creation. I just access and direct and let everything merge and see where it goes from there. By keeping myself out of it, and letting the divine do the heavy lifting, that everything works magically, divinely orchestrated. And that's why it's so fabulous to have stepped into this role and embraced it fully.
Yeah, and you do that. You not only do you take your show on the road. I mean, I was really I was fascinated by how much detail Ingrid could remember and was so attuned to. And not only the way that she described your journey and working with you, but in the details of you. And I think you and I are a lot alike. I mean, what I have on my iPod, probably very different than what people think, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you this. When you think about what's going on in the world, when you think about the level of information that we are getting day in, day out, when you think about how much of that information seems to be getting stuck to our psyche, right? Isn't that what we mean at some level by the collective?
Absolutely. I mean, my interpretation of the term collective could be different, vastly different than someone else's. But wherever energies get stuck in any of us, it's going to have an effect on all of us, each and every bit. I want to share about an experience I had a couple of months ago. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I went to the Grand Stupa up in the center of the Rockies, and I was guided to take my sunstone crystal singing bowl that I got at the Crystal Room in Mount Shasta on my birthday last fall. And I was shown myself walking around the exterior playing this bowl. Now, the Grand Stupa is an incredible, incredible work of art, in my opinion. Beautiful temple. And there was a group of us that went. And I got the bowl and I started playing it as I walked around this huge exterior. And there was a lady that was pretty sensitive to energy, and she commented that she could see ripples of energy clear from around the exterior of this magnificent structure as I was walking around it playing the bowl. So what happens is when we go, like I was talking about the experience, and so was Ingrid, with her congregation, and the congregation that she's a member of, things get stuck, Pat.
Yeah.
And they don't just release by themselves, and we don't know they're stuck. All we know is that sometimes in ourselves, something isn't fitting quite right. A project we're working on doesn't come together very well. Long-range goals just simply seem to stay that way. Forward movement isn't really very forward sometimes. One step forward, two steps back, or that's when a person needs to get in touch with me. That's when a person needs to give me a call, let me know what they're experiencing so that we can talk about what we can do together to release it so that there's more freedom, more movement, more energy brought in that enables them to experience progression rather than stagnation or regression. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And at the same time it's like so many things in life. You step out and all of us know there are preventative things we can do for our lives, for our health, for our well-being. We do it all the time. If you raise children, you do it with your children. You have an animal friend, you do it with your animal friend. And I think that the one area which we're so clear about now that is getting so much notoriety, but not enough, is the work of energy. And, the work that when it translates down to the average person, we are energy, we reflect energy, and we neglect energy. And it's the neglect part that can get us into serious trouble. And I think that, part of what you're talking about and sharing is not only do we need to be more aware of how it affects ourselves, but how it affects others in the world. And by the way, there's actually something that we can do to manage it, monitor it, and clear it. And I think that's what we were talking about today as well.
Yes, it's exactly what we've been talking about in each show we've done. It is all about clearing, all about releasing, all about manifesting the greatness that's waiting to come forward.
You know, in the scheme of things, let's fast forward a little bit ahead. You know, you're traveling. You travel. I mean, we heard through Ingrid, you travel to Mount Shasta. You know, you just shared a story of your travels as well. And you know, the question that I ask you when you are traveling, what is it you see in the things that are affecting people? How are they being affected?
Wow, that's as diverse as the people themselves, Pat.
Yeah, isn't
you know,
it?
I mean,
but do you see
a
pattern? Is there a pattern or not? I mean, maybe we can just comment on that.
There is a pattern, and there's things that people can be doing for themselves that are so simple, they just don't have the knowledge. For example, keeping the body at the cellular level as clear as possible, as clean as possible. People that live in cities, oh my gosh, when I go to California, for example, I'm usually around South Bay area, Monterey Bay on up to North San Francisco. What I find predominantly is people that live in more congested areas have a lot of heavy metal toxicity from exhaust fumes, from the planes overhead, those sorts of things. We can clear that. You know, there's very simple ways that people can make dietary changes to help clean that out. People feed into negativity and adversity far more than is necessary. Let's talk about the media, for example.
Oh boy, yeah.
Often, if you watch the news, you are absolutely filled with stories of distress and chaos, chaos being another word for uncomfortable change, until maybe the end of the news show of an hour, and then they'll slide something good in. And, you know, that leaves people with a little bit of a warm, fuzzy feeling, but they've still got this cumulative expanse of information prior to that that's more overshadowing than just that warm fuzzy at the end. If people were able to look around themselves and find the warm fuzzy, if you will, in the smaller things, stay away from those types of programs or experiences or broadcasts that promote a more dense way of looking at things or a denser lifestyle or experience. Those simple little changes are so huge.
Yeah.
I pick up on it when I'm running down the freeway. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, I can look over at a car, and if someone is really engrossed in certain types of thoughts, I hear them, and I just send them light and keep going. And the next, and the next, and the next.
Wow. You know,
So,
I mean, the thing to really know today is, one, that we don't have to continue to carry the burden or the weight of these energies with us. And that's the work that you do. Two, we can also know how to stay in check so that we don't accumulate them. Laura, thank you for a great show today. Also, really many thanks to Ingrid and the folks that do work with you. I want to take a minute and let folks know, first of all, how they can work with you. What are the ways they can do that? And then how do they get in contact with you?
working with me is as simple as reaching out with an email to Laura@SourceLightIntegrations, that's plural.com, finding me on Facebook at the SourceLight Integrations group, or calling me at 970-519-1683 and spending a few moments sharing what's going on so that we can brainstorm on what we can do together to bring you forward. It really is that simple. It really is. When I travel, someone often will call me and say, there's about 5 of us or there's 8 of us. They're really interested in having you come and do a group in person. Can you do that?
Yeah.
And we look at schedules and we make it happen. It's that simple. SourceLightIntegrations.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Laura Barton, everybody. I'm Dr. Pat. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to SourceLight Radio, high frequency healing for an amazing life, with host Laura Barton. Thank you. And we hope you join us next month on Transformation Talk Radio as Laura explores the concept and application of SourceLight integration, bringing balance, shifts in consciousness, and instantaneous healing. For more information about Laura and her work, or listen to past shows, visit her website at SourceLightIntegrations.com.